All right, welcome everybody. We're going to give it a few more minutes to get everybody in. So just sit tight. We're glad you're here. And yeah, we'll give it a couple more minutes to get a few more folks in and on the call. All right, if you're still joining us, we're gonna give it a couple more minutes to get everybody in. I hope that everybody has registered. You need to register in order to access the Q&A. If you haven't done that, but got this forwarded to you by a friend or something like that, you can find the link to register on our website and on our Facebook page. So you go register, and then if you log in with that unique link, you'll be able to access the Q&A. You can still definitely hang out and listen and watch. You just won't have access to that Q&A a little later. All right. Well, my name is Laura Rice. I'm an event operations manager here at RAGBRAI, and we are excited to have everybody joining us tonight for our first virtual town hall. We're really excited to have this opportunity to share what we've been doing kind of behind the scenes, answer questions, give different updates, and just talk about some of the upcoming things on the RAGBRAI calendar. Our goal is to have these pretty consistently. So we'll be getting these out and answering your questions both here and in the future. And we're really glad that you joined us. As I mentioned a little earlier, I hope everybody registered, but if you got this link from a friend, it was forwarded, passed on to you, and you didn't register yourself directly, you won't be able to access the Q&A. So to access that, you will need to register, which you can do by scanning the QR code here or finding the link on our website. It's on the top slider on the home page. Once you register, you'll get a unique link, and if you follow that to re-enter the meeting, then you'll be able to access the Q&A. That's not necessary. You can still hang out and listen in and see everything that goes on, but you won't be able to get that Q&A. All right, so quick intros of our team. I know a lot of you will probably recognize a lot of the faces here, but a quick rundown of who we have with us tonight. We've got Ann Laurie, who is our cycling director. Got Matt Phippen, ride director. We have brand new to the team, Hayden Meister, coming in as event operations manager. Got myself, Laura Rice, event operations manager. Corey Mudge, our graphic designer, Erica Detterman, registration and merchandise manager, and certainly not least, although last, AP Andrea Parrott, our marketing manager and the Just Go Bike podcast host. We'll all kind of be going over a few different things this evening for you, but I'm going to throw it over to Ann to tell us more about the route announcement party that is just 10 days away.
All right, thanks, Laura. Hi, you guys. Excited to be talking to you this early in our planning process and starting these town halls with you guys. As Laura mentioned, these will be monthly. So we are just 10 days away from announcing the 8 overnight towns that will be featured on this year's route. The team has been doing a ton of work behind the scenes to get us ready for route announcement. So super excited to be here. This is a kickoff to our season and our travel. The event itself will be on Saturday, January 25th. So there are a couple of ways to participate in the route announcement. The first I'll talk about will be the in-person. So Saturday, January 25th, we are actually moving locations for the first time in a little over a decade to Vibrant Music Hall in Waukee, Iowa, which is about 15 minutes from downtown Des Moines, right off of Interstate 80. Vibrant Music Hall is state-of-the-art facility music venue that opened a little over a year ago. So we're excited to be in an actual music hall. We do have a live concert that will be featuring the Schmidt Brothers this year, which is an Iowa-based band from Vinton, Iowa, cover band who performs country, classic rock, a little bit of everything, a little bit of pop. So they'll be playing 2 sets for us at Vibrant. We will have free parking there. Big Grove coming through again with hosted beer, Easy Eddie, Citrus Surfer featured at the venue, all included with your general admission ticket prices, food, drinks, concert, and then of course the big reveal. So general admission tickets are $40, which is about a $20 savings from the previous years in our old venue. You can also purchase tables of 10 for $450, and those include floor access, great seats for the concert and for the program. And then for anyone who wants a little elevated experience, we do have a VIP ticket for $20 more, and that gets you early access to Vibrant's Red Room Lounge, which will have a private bar, private food stations, and restrooms. They'll also be streaming everything from the stage into that room in case you get too cozy in your couches and your lounge seats and don't want to leave the spot. But like I said, Saturday, January 25th, 6 to 10 p.m. Program starts at 8. So for those of you that can't make it to Vibrant or don't live in the state, we will have a live stream option. So that'll be starting at 7:45 via our Facebook page, RAGBRAI Facebook page, with the program starting at 8. So there'll be a 15-minute countdown, and then we will stream the actual announcement live from the stage at Vibrant for any of the folks who can't make it to Waukee that evening to join us in person. So everyone will have the ability to watch it live and get live access to the route as it's being revealed, which is something we've done in previous years and is actually a nice feature for all of those folks that join us on route from over 50 states and 20 countries. So we want to make sure you have access to see that just as much as everyone else in person. But we're excited to see you. Tickets can still be purchased. So if you go to ragbrai.com, you'll be able to see our route announcement page on the website. And through there, you can click through to purchase tickets. But we hope to see you. What we'd like to do next is preview the teaser video that we put together because you'll recognize this guy on the 25th when he actually reveals their route for us. So Laura, if you want to play our little route announcement teaser video. So some of you might recognize Kaz. He's SAG-1. So if you've ever been on SAG-1, don't tell us, but you might recognize him. And he'll be with us on January 25th. So hope to see you there.
All right. With that, we'll turn it over to Erica to talk some merch and some registration info.
Thanks, Laura. We wanted to give everyone a little sneak peek of some of our new merchandise that will be available for purchase at the Iowa Bike Expo and also at Route Announcement that night at Vibrant Music Hall. So some of my new favorite items we're coming out with And then, of course, not pictured here is the route tee, which we'll have available for purchase after the route is revealed at 8 o'clock. So I manage registration, and we wanted to make sure that we got on here and spoke about the upcoming price increase, which will happen March 1st this year. We had one already that was on the 1st of the month of January, and then our next price increase will be March 1st. So for those of you who know you're coming, no matter what the route is, we always recommend to register early and get the best bang for your buck. So if you register now and you're a week-long rider, you can get that for $250. It'll go up by $25 after March 1st. And then we have price increases every month until registration closes for the ride. We do also sell registrations on the ride. If you aren't for sure what your schedule is going to be, you can always join us at the expo and purchase tickets, or get day passes at one of the merchandise trailers along the route. One of the new changes this year is we've also updated our refund policy. And so that that's shown here. It goes incremental as we get closer for the ride, because as we get closer to the ride, we've already been preparing for the amount of riders and have already spoken with the towns, and they're also preparing for those amount of riders. One of the things that's not mentioned on this slide is that there is now a protection plan that's offered in registration. That is something that last year was the first year we've ever used that. It's an optional add-on to your registration that you can purchase. And if for any reason that's covered in the protection plan, whether you have a medical incident, your car breaks down on the way to the ride. Last year, people had a lot of airplane and travel logistics. If that's covered, you can file a claim and get a full refund for your entry to the event. So whatever you pay, they'll give you a full refund back for that. More information for all these registration items can be found on our website. And then if you have any questions at all about anything registration, you can email us at info@ragbrai.com. One of the most important changes we have this year that a lot of my team captains have appreciated so far is that we're switching mailing registration packets. In the past, we mailed them to team captains, and they have to assemble and give out everybody's correct wristbands and their luggage tags and license plates and everything. This year, to make the process as efficient as ever and to get out to you guys sooner than we ever have before, we are changing that. So all registration materials will be shipped directly to the rider. If you register in November and you move or you're not sure what address you put in, we want to make sure you guys have that updated in June, because as soon as registration closes on June 11th, we start filling those packets up and get those address labels printed to get that out to you guys. So it's really important that you put your correct address in. And then if you've moved between when you've registered and June 11th, we update that in Motive. But those are some quick registration updates. The other important update this year is that we also have vehicle passes available for purchase now. Those can be purchased during your registration. If you don't know what type of vehicle pass you need, because you don't know what length of vehicle you'll have, if you'll do a camper or bring an SUV, any of that information, you can also add it to your registration later. And all of that information on how to do so is available on our FAQ page. Those will be available on a first come, first served basis. And all of those vehicle links are also available on that registration page. This year, one of the things we want to make sure we get out to you, our participants, all of our riders, those people who join with us, is we want to stress that we know these prices increases are a little bit different from years before, but we want to make sure that you and all of our riders know how much we appreciate having you guys, and that the participant experience is always the top of our minds. We've talked a little bit about other rides, and AP and Murph from the Just Go Bike podcast did a podcast talking about other ride and what their values are. So she'll link that in the chat, but we want to make sure that everybody knows what's included in registration, and that also will be listed in the meeting. So that's your SAG services, all of that information.
All right, thank you, Erica. Now we'll go to AP to kind of give a rundown of why you should sign up for our newsletters if you haven't already.
I think that the short answer to this is that the newsletters give you all the news you need to know about RAGBRAI. We have 3 different newsletters. One, a general newsletter that only goes out once a month so we don't flood your inbox too much. That would have dates and photos and locations and training tips and things like that. New merch releases, obviously they're out in about 10 days. And then we also have a merchandise email that goes out once a week. And we send that one out a little bit more frequently because it's short and sweet and it has all the merch that you might want to see first. We do sneak peeks, we do sales. It's just kind of a fun way to stay in touch with the best and greatest and newest merch. Then the last newsletter we have just started up. It's the Just Go Bike podcast newsletter. Obviously my baby. The podcast is everything that's fun about cycling and sort of a behind the scenes about RAGBRAI and how to get ready for RAGBRAI. And we do a lot as leading up to the ride. We do a lot of information about the towns and interviewing the towns and doing fun facts about all the different things that you might see along the way on RAGBRAI 52. So it's pretty exciting. And that one's also once a month. So I encourage you to check them out, see if they might be for you. And yeah, they're more exciting than you might think a newsletter would be.
There was a really exciting story in today's first edition of the Just Go Bike podcast e-newsletter, about one of Murph's travel experiences. So whether it's our newsletters or Just Go Bike, that's another great way for you to get in tune with what's going on, and also have kind of a direct line to timelines and a good way to be in touch with our team. All right, I'm going to throw it over to the ride director himself, Matt Phippen, for a behind-the-scenes update on what's been going on at RAGBRAI HQ.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for everyone that's joining us from all over. I want to give you a sneak peek and talk to you guys about what this team does for the year. I think a lot of people show up in July and this magical event just happens, and they don't know all the behind-the-scenes things that do take place over the course of an entire year. We wrap our RAGBRAI 2024 in July. This team takes a little bit of time to unload trailers and return back to somewhat of a little bit of a life and take vacation. And then we hit it hard again on the road. During the season, and myself and a lot of this team will travel about 20 times across the state meeting with these towns. Each meeting has a specific agenda that we hit. So, we're working with the teams in one meeting, maybe with law enforcement, one meeting maybe with beverage garden, but each time we visit, there is a specific topic that we cover. That's usually about 20 trips across the state. Once the ride happens, we obviously execute the ride. We're on the roads one more time. And then in late August, we have what we call our farewell tour with the towns. It's very bittersweet for us because, we've been with these towns for a good majority of this year. We're learning them inside and out. We become part of their banter in these meetings. So it's hard to say goodbye. We'd love to hear the good things that they experience on RAGBRAI, but we're really there for the things that we can fix and we can make better for future RAGBRAIs. So we want to hear the bad. We want to hear where we screwed up. We want to hear where there was issues to make sure that we document that and find ways to make that better for the following ride. So once that's done, we kind of put a fork into 2024 and we start shifting gears into 2025. During August, we celebrated Fry Fest in Coralville. So if you see on the picture, we have a herky that's in RAGBRAI HQ, and that has been wrapped by an artist with pictures from the last 50 years. So there is a good chance you may be on one of those pictures when you come in and see us at RAGBRAI HQ. It's done very, very well. It's ours. We own it. It'll stay at RAGBRAI HQ. It's something we're very proud of. Our team's kind of divided. We have some Iowa State fans in the room and some Iowa fans in the room, but right now we do have a herky that's protecting this house for us. September, we executed the fall ride. Fall ride for us is a fun, easy out and back. So it leaves RAGBRAI HQ, which is located in Des Moines, and heads to basically Cumming, Iowa, and then back all on the trail system. I want to say there's maybe 7 stops along the way with bars. So there's a good chance we may never see you again, depending on how many beverages you have at those bars. But the goal is, it's an easy 40-mile out and back. Earlier that day and throughout the day, we had a garage sale, so we kind of got rid of some stuff that we've been, collecting over the years. But it's just our last big event for the season before we truly shift gears into the future. We invite our team back. So the people you see on this call, the ones that are out of state, we fly them in and we spend 2 days at RAGBRAI HQ, and we have a RAGBRAI Summit. And it's basically just goal setting, looking at wins and losses for the year, brainstorming sessions for how we're going to make things different, how we're going to use this space and build out this space. But it's a way for our team to come together one more time and truly dissect, our year so we can focus on the future. We bring our charters and our bike shops in and do kind of the same thing, recap with them. We want to learn how they did, things that they saw that we need to fix. Same thing with the bike shops because they're on route with you guys every single day. And that is September's my first meeting with Iowa DOT and State Patrol. I have a route created, it's on a paper map. I transpose that into Ride with GPS so we can look at a digital copy, and we literally go mile by mile looking at possible issues that we may see. We still have our application process out there. That isn't due to us until October 1st, so we're waiting for those host applications to come in. And once we get those applications in, we double check those boxes to see where we kind of land with the towns. Once the DOT feels good about their projects, the one thing we really don't know is all the county projects and all of the things that towns are working on. So the goal is to get as close to a completed route as possible during that time frame. I will let you know, since then we've had 5 meetings. The routes changed 5 times. There's a lot of things. It's the biggest puzzle that we have to deal with, and there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that we have to worry about. And depending on how Mother Nature deals with us, it may change things. Last year we had a lot of flooding in some areas, which put us in a different spot for this year with some of the towns. So I have 3 to 5 years built out on routes, and we had to look at the next 2 or 3 years from towns and make some adjustments. When you lose one town on route, it ended up changing 5 days total from a route standpoint. So as you guys know that ride RAGBRAI, there's only so many roads. And we just can't go on gravel because you guys know we don't like gravel a whole lot. So we really have to look at how we get from point A to point B, what towns have to be removed, what towns need to be added. But I'm proud today to say that we do have a route. It is done. It's been signed off on by the DOT, by the State Patrol, and we will release it to everyone on January 25th. So first meeting with them. Obviously, we have a lot of meetings with them going forward. In October, we received all the host applications, which was great. It was great to see the towns that wanted to host, a lot more than we've normally gotten in the past, which is fantastic. I got to be a part of the Homeland Security Conference and talk through logistics about RAGBRAI with Homeland Security people from all over. Very fun conference to be a part of, to hear kind of how they look at things. And, it helped us kind of set up, our future on how we need to prepare when we're working with them. We also launched our 2025 logo. So as you can see in the middle of the screen, RAGBRAI LII Take Flight. We partnered with Honor Flight. This is an organization that we're super excited about. We will have attendees on stage with us at the route announcement that have either served or were on a flight as a mentor. So we're super excited about that. I really love the color scheme this year. Corey did a fantastic job bringing it all together. RAGBRAI 52, B-52 bombers, and flight is a pretty cool thing. So we're excited to show you more of that apparel down the road as it becomes available. November, we open registration. We're sitting in a really, really good spot right now with registration. We had a team captain meeting, so we kind of talked through what that's going to look like. And, probably one of the highlights of our year is calling bingo at Captain Roy's. I will tell you, people love their bingo. And if you drop a ball on the floor, they lose their minds. So you have to be very, very careful when you're calling bingo. But obviously very fun for us. And then we celebrate Christmas with our families. So, we don't just take the rest of the year off. The joke is, it's only 1 week. So what do you guys do the rest of the year? We are constantly working behind the scenes to get this year set up. So, right now we are full steam ahead. We have put, RAGBRAI 2024 to bed. We are now completely focused on 2025. It's all about the route announcement party. It's about the expo. And then once we announce on the 25th, Ann and myself are on the road traveling. So our first week of travel, we meet with the towns and we are scouting campgrounds and parking lots for all the buses. If you're buying vehicle passes, obviously you can do that now, but we are working to secure those spots for you to make it as easy as possible for you guys to get in. I would love to say it's an easy process, but it's probably one of the hardest processes to deal with because you're dealing with camping, you're dealing with people coming and going, and there's only so much space in communities to access. Obviously we're seeing more RVs coming into town, so you're finding more parking lots and bigger spaces that can hold that, and less camping on green grass. So, we're trying to look at what do we need, what's available. Once we secure those spots, the towns will start reaching out to our big groups and our charters and teams to help secure those locations. It just helps make the process a little bit easier. So if you're a team captain that wants to secure spots, just give us some time. Let us get a good lay of the land so we know kind of what's what and where stuff can go. From a route building standpoint, I will route each day from our RAGBRAI main campground to the next RAGBRAI main campground. So if you're traveling with us, and let's just say in both spots, we're at the high schools in both towns, I will route from one high school to the other. So it's exactly 70.1 miles from this high school to that high school. So it makes the process a little bit easier. There was a note earlier about when we release that. June, we ride pre-ride, which is our team on bicycles with special guests. These special guests consist of law enforcement officers, pre-ride veterans, city officials, sponsors, and they help us kind of get a lay of the land and work with the towns. It's one of our last big check-ins with the towns, but we ride the route from start to finish on the same days that RAGBRAI will take place. So on Sunday, we're riding that same route that riders will ride on Sunday. And during that week, we are looking for the things that are going to cause problems. Last year we had a railroad crossing that caused some issues. Our team had zero issues with it, but the day out, there was a bunch of issues. So we're looking at those things of, what did we miss? What should we look at differently? Do we need more signage here? We also have a gentleman that rides in the lead vehicle that carries a laptop with him. And on that laptop, he tries to plot and mark all the major hazards and things that he sees on the road. During the weeks of our travel across the state, we constantly see DOT crews out working on the route for us and getting it prepared for us. After pre-ride, we submit a report to the counties to show them things that we see and we caught. It's things that could cause problems. It's the big pothole, it's the centerline cracks. It's the stuff that could take cyclists down. And they've been fantastic to take that report and go out there and double check those spots. We're not going to get everything, but I will say I believe in my heart that Iowa has some of the best roads in the world when it comes to the teams that manage those and take care of those. So we'll submit that report. We'll look at the things that we need to fix. Our team divides and conquers. So our law enforcement officers talk to local law enforcement. Our bar and restaurant owners go to the bars and the restaurants to make sure the beer's cold and the food tastes good, and answer any questions that they may have about expectations. And then our team kind of divides and conquers and talks to the locals and the county, the city officials. Once that is done, we will share Ride with GPS links with all the physical routes on there. That's truly the last time we would make any changes to any map. Now, Mother Nature could play a role and cause a problem after the fact. We'll make that change and we'll reshare a link for you. But no, after June, so probably in the middle of June, you'll see an email from us with the routes that you can download. It's a free app. You can download the maps for free and they'll give you complete turn by turn. And to let you know too, like we're working on these maps every time we travel. So we're constantly trying to dial them in to get the mileage as accurate as possible, the elevation as close to being as what it is. Yeah, but just know that whatever computer you're using, it may be off a little bit here or there, but we'll try to get it as accurate as possible. So you'll be able to use that. So yeah, so look at that date being the middle of June by the time we get everything, all the dust settles, and then the ride will happen in July. So right now, I believe we're in a really, really good spot. Safety is always our number one priority when it comes to this ride and what we're doing. We have some amazing partners with the State Patrol, the DOT, and all the different counties that do help us. Water is always a big thing, and we make sure the towns understand the expectations of having water at the start and at the finish. Talking to the towns, the one thing we heard in every town was how impressed they were with riders from this year, how respectful they were, and how clean the community was after the ride left. So thank you for that. That's obviously a big one. You know, we hear early on, towns are always afraid that RAGBRAI is going to trash their community. And now 3 years in this role, I've heard 100% of the time that they are so impressed at how clean the community is. So there are some things that we've learned from the communities this year that we'll take and kind of tweak and make better. So we are listening. There will be gravel. As you guys know, I do love gravel. It is not going to be mandatory. I don't see any mandatory sections unless there's something that happens during the year that would cause us to have to detour something. So there will be 7 days of optional gravel. We've also listened to the surveys, and there's been a lot of people that have requested a full day of gravel so they can get 50 plus miles in on one day. So I am looking at what that could look like. So there will be guaranteed 7 days of optional gravel, plus a possible optional gravel day that you can ride too. But know that the majority of you guys will be riding on paved road because you don't like gravel. Sorry, apologize for that, but I love gravel. Going through my other notes. Distance between towns was the question. Obviously when you look at a map, distances can be all over the board. I try to average 10 miles between towns. It makes things really, really easy and helps, the success of the ride and the safety of the ride. But depending on where the roads take us, sometimes it's not that easy. So right now, based on what we have, we averaged about 10.5 miles this year with the route, which is fantastic. Obviously, we still need to talk to some of the pass-throughs and make sure we're good in some of these areas. But that is the goal. That we've had the hilliest, we've had the longest, but by all means, I want you to know that I'm not trying to take souls and cripple you guys when I build a route. I'm trying to build a route as safe as possible, and it just so happens that last year was the hilliest. And at the end of the day, we can all look back and go, it was a pretty incredible year. One of the questions was, what is the route? We can go into that right now. We'll start that conversation on January 25th. So if you guys want to show up to the route announcement party, we could have that conversation. So I'm not going to spill that to anybody. So don't even try to get the route out of me today. And then the question is, how many riders? Obviously, this is a ride that we love having people come from, 50 states and 20 countries. What I've learned is if we can be in that 15 to 20,000 rider group, we can go into towns like we were in last year that can support the ride. The Maxburgs of the world, they have 100 and some people in there, can easily pull this off. When you get into the 20,000 plus, it really puts a strain on some of these communities. RAGBRAI is special because a lot of these small communities that open up their hearts and their houses to complete strangers. So my goal is to showcase all of Iowa and be able to go into all the cool spots of Iowa in towns of all sizes. But we need to make sure that we don't do wrong by the towns and overpopulate them. So if you are on the fence, please register. It helps us with talking to the towns. We're very transparent with towns. Towns want to know exactly how many people are coming. And the unfortunate part is we can't give them an exact number because there are people who just show up. It's kind of a good and a bad thing. It's great that they want to do our ride. It's bad because we can't prepare for them. So, we tell a town every time we visit where our numbers are landing and what we're seeing. But we also emphasize, but more are going to show up. We don't know how many more. So it makes it really, really tough for a town to figure out, okay, if they're telling us this, but the double could show up, how many porta potties do we really need? How many vendors do we need? How many water stations do we need? So it puts us in a bad spot. So my plea to you is if you're on the fence about riding RAGBRAI, please sign up, please register. It helps us put the towns in a better spot. The towns are more respected when they know the answers, that we can get them right away. And part of that battle is just getting them solid facts. We can only do so much depending on who's all coming. I think that's all on my notes. Any other questions that popped up?
Yeah, several. I think the first one is really about safety. So it's two-pronged. So I'll go with George's question, and I'll also go with Mike's question, or I think it was Mike Daryl asked. So is there going to be any need for more security on route due to the New Orleans terrorism? And then the second part to that question is George is a first-time rider and just wants to know how we handle dangerous weather situations. Do you close a route due to bad weather? So if you can answer both of those.
Yeah, I would love to. Like I said earlier, safety is our number one priority, and the overall goal is to get everyone from one side of the state to the other as efficiently as possible and as safe as possible. We have some pretty amazing partners. You know, I think that we're probably in the best possible spot with the State Patrol and that relationship. We have two teams. We have a team that works the roads and does turn by turn, so you can truly get lost in Iowa and not have to worry about cars coming by. And then we have a team that pushes the ride across. And those are the teams that, don't really get liked a whole lot in RAGBRAI because they're trying to move the groups of people across. With that, we need to have them because, towns have been preparing for months. They've worked just as hard as the town before and the town after. We want them to have the same amount of time with you to experience you while you're riding your bicycle. So having shutdown times helps us keep the ride moving. If we didn't have shutdown times, that one beer stop would turn into 3 or 4 beers, and then before you know it, you're behind, and now we have to play catch up. So the overall goal is we have to keep the ride moving, and that second team of State Patrol officers helps that ride keep moving. Plus, it's truly a safety thing. I want my team off the road by 6 so we can be in the overnight town working on other things, and having the State Patrol there to help with that too gets those riders in, so we don't have to worry about major groups being on the road. Because after it starts getting dark, then it truly turns into a safety issue because there's a lot of times that you don't have lights, and it just causes problems. So if we have that, it moves the route. We also partner with Homeland Security, emergency management teams. All these different teams are locked in a room all day. Ann advances forward, so she's in the overnight town waiting for us to arrive. She's the one that's handling things as they come in. I'm on route, so I experience every town. I travel with the route across the state. So if something happens on route, I can be there instantly in those spots. When and if something happens, we rely on those agencies to step in and take place. Like I said, State Patrol, local law enforcement, Homeland Security, all those people step in and make it happen. We live in a world that is dangerous right now, and we are constantly looking at things, and things do pop up, and we are aware of them, but we do our best to shield them from you. So when stuff does happen, you guys don't know about it till the end. But just know that in that case, I'm just the ride director. I rely on people that do this for a living to step in and take that, and we'll support them in any way. As far as inclement weather, that's always a factor. We live in Iowa, so stuff could pop up all the time. We have teams in every community that are watching radar. A lot of the overnight towns bring in meteorologists that are on staff, and they're constantly just watching things. For RAGBRAI 50, we had a derecho hit Coralville. It's something that there was kind of talk early in the day that there was going to be strong thunderstorms, so it was on our radar. And then as the day kind of drug on a little bit, it turned into possible derecho coming to Coralville. Ann was in rooms with these officials talking through things, and when stuff started to happen, we were ready to act. So working with the towns, working with emergency management, law enforcement, our teams, we were able to evacuate Coralville, get people in safe spots, and the storm did hit, and it was pretty devastating. But what I'm proud about is that community had a very good plan. People understood the plan, they executed the plan, and there was nothing major that happened besides tents being broke and some damage. But everybody was in a good spot. So when that happens, we are starting to act. We start looking at things when a county, basically 2 over goes red. We're watching where that's tracking, and if it's coming towards us, we start working on a plan. We've been very lucky the last couple of years to have storms kind of break up and go around us, but eventually our luck will run out, and we'll have to prepare. So just know that we utilize our entire team, all our partner agencies to make sure that we're in a good spot. And if and when we need to do that, we will make those necessary arrangements to pull you guys off the roads.
One thing I'll just add is we will send out communication for you guys to download an app called Smart 911, which allows it geo targets you. So it's going to give you push alerts too on whether that's happening. So there's some of this that we're obviously every town, every county is creating emergency management plans that we're following to a T, but that app will also allow you to have some control or onus over what's going on from a weather perspective so that you can get actual push alerts into your phone. And then from there, like Matt said, we're 2 counties ahead. So you'll start getting communication from us as well, and action will take place. Nice having Iowa State Patrol and all those turns for you too that can actually get communication out to you if you're out on route.
More questions?
Laura's going to take us home.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so thank you to everybody who submitted questions beforehand. So we're going to dive into some of those and kind of keep answering some of the ones in the chat that are coming through as well. We will try to get to as many as possible. And then, yeah, use the rest for follow-ups and get you all the information that you need. So one of the kind of, yeah, encompassing a few different questions here. I'd say whoever on the team wants to answer this, maybe Corey or Erica. Can you kind of tell us the benefits of using a charter and what all services they provide? Because we're getting questions about how to get back to the starting town once you've finished, or from the finished town back to the start town, what's included, and you know, storing bike boxes, different things like that. So give us a brief overview of the best way to manage all those little logistic details.
I'll take this one, Laura. First, I'll start off by saying that both the start town and the end town each year will offer long-term parking for a fee. So if you just live on one side of the state and you're closer there, you can start there. And often charters will shuttle you back to where your car was. Or if you end on the other side of the state vice versa. That is optional and is not covered as part of your RAGBRAI registration. Those will typically be available for purchase sometime in April, depending on where the towns are in their process. All of that information always is a part of our newsletters. So that's a more important reason to sign up for those dates and that timeline. And that's separate. So you would go to the town, their pages directly, and we will link those from our website. All that town logistic information we'll have linked directly from our website, so it's easier to find. You don't have to Google search or any of that stuff, and that will be available after the route is released. And those towns have their sites up and running. Charters are different. They are a different service that is available for an add-on, and they have several different levels. You can find them at our website, and you can deep dive into and see how many different charters there are. They'll offer different services. If you don't want to take your bag to our luggage truck every day, they'll take your bag to each overnight town. Some of them set up their tent for you. Some of them set up your own tent. So it's just varying levels of what you want your RAGBRAI experience to be. They're just for the different levels of rider. So some people like to have a group where they know every day they're going to have set people there. Some charters offer like tents where they'll have drinks, or some charters will offer different music and everything. So it's really your level of what you want. And some of them have a sense of community. All of those can be found on our website. But it's really how you want your RAGBRAI service to be, or your experience to be. The biggest charter of them all is us. All of the necessary things that you need to get from one side of the state to the other are covered in registration. So Corey manages the baggage team on the ride. They move your bag from town to town. If you want your tent set up for you, or if you don't even want to bring a tent, that's something that a charter will offer that for a fee.
Awesome. And yeah, you can find the charters on our website. There are quite a few. They can also help if you're flying in. A lot of them will be running shuttles from the nearest major airport, or from Des Moines. So definitely look at that if you're coming from out of state as well.
And one thing I forgot to mention is that if you only want to use a charter to get from one side of the state to the other, they will offer those services. You don't have to stay with them the whole week. So you really should just go in and look and see what shuttle services they offer and all of that information. You don't have to have them set your tent up all week if you just want to be driven back to the start town from the end town.
Probably another important distinction too is some of those charters are operating outside of the state. So some will be able to pick you up in Chicago and bring you here. Some will pick you up in St. Louis, Omaha. So there's not just end town, start town, but there's also outside of the state too, depending on where you live, from the shuttle service perspective. The other thing I think that was asked was bike shipping. So as we get a little bit closer into the planning process, there will be a company that will offer bike shipping. So If you want to go through them, you can. They also operate through and use Bike Flights, which is a national organization, but they're a local business. So they'll partner with one of our bike shops. You can ship your bike to them. They'll assemble it. And then you, at the end of the ride, they will disassemble it, package it, and get it back to you. So that's information that you'll start seeing as the planning process starts, we get deeper into the planning process, but that will be available. We also have a company that we partner with called Unlimited Biking, who will allow you to rent a bicycle. So if you are out of state and don't want to bring your bicycle with you, you can work through them. So there'll be an updated live link around Unlimited Biking, and you can choose from one of their bikes, and you can actually rent a bike for the entire week if that's more, if that's something that suits you better than shipping your bike.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. All right, this is a good one. This is one of our pre-submitted questions. So first time riders to Platonic guys, should we join a team or can we do it on our own? Are there places to camp overnight? So if you're brand spanking new to RAGBRAI, what's the elevator pitch of what to expect and the best way to go about it?
Who wants that one?
AP. I say let's have
Yeah,
AP.
AP.
I think I'd say AP,
The
yeah.
Okay. All right. You can do RAGBRAI however you like, whatever suits you. You do not need to use a team or a charter or anything like that. You can just go 2 guys on your own, use our baggage service, and enjoy RAGBRAI that way. You could join, I would say a team is something that is less organized usually than a charter. A charter is usually a for-profit business that you could join. That we kind of already covered those. The teams are more like groups of friends that you'll meet after your first RAGBRAI or during your first RAGBRAI. But you don't. Am I answering the right question?
Yeah, no, you're doing good. I can jump into and just and talk to it. Like, when RAGBRAI was created, we were a camping event, and over the years it's transitioned into, you see a 6-figure rock star RV pull into a town with full build outs, and that's their RAGBRAI. The air's on at night, they have power, their sleep apnea machines are all plugged in, and everybody's breathing good through the middle of the night. And then you have people that want to find the piece of grass on, and watch the stars and hang out. So, AP nailed it. RAGBRAI is whatever you want it to be. There's organizations that can take you across. We're one of them. I would love you to experience RAGBRAI for what it is, being in the main campground with people that, love that atmosphere. Just know that it is hot and humid in Iowa. So if you don't like sweating and being gross in a tent, maybe you need to find something with some air. Hotels sell out pretty quick. Our team, because we travel, are in hotels, and our state patrols in hotels. But I would love you to experience RAGBRAI for what it is, which is truly a camping event in a main campground. But it truly is a community. It truly is a family. We call it one of the biggest family reunions Iowa sees every year, because you have people that, once we announce the towns, are making phone calls because 10 years ago we were in this town. I still have the guy's number. I'm going to call Joe and see if I can sleep in his front yard. So you all have access there. But yeah, I would love to see you experience, if you're that first timer, RAGBRAI as truly what it is, which is a camping event. And then year 2, you can find something else.
The other thing I would like to add is that I saw someone else in the questions asking about showers. Kind of goes along with this. You could do a shower. We do have showers. We'll say it that way. But you could either do, all of the towns will offer showers for a really small fee, like $5, $10 usually. Buy a towel for $3 or rent a towel for $3 or whatever. Anyway, you can do a shower with the community, like usually in a school or a church or gym. Or we usually bring in shower trailers where it's literally a semi-trailer with a private showers in them. The advantage of those is that the water is generally hot and it is very private, but they're usually a little bit more expensive. So you could do it that way. The third way that people do showers is sort of more rough and ready. You can do a sun shower, like a camping shower, which is literally a bag of water that you hang up and stand under. Some people shower in a car wash. Some people shower in a fire hydrant. Again, you kind of do RAGBRAI, however suits you.
Perfect. All right, here's the foodie question. What are refueling options like throughout the course, our route, and how many are there? And then that goes with one of our questions that was submitted, vegetarian. Just going back down, sorry. Yeah, what vegetarian food options are there? So who wants to take the food question
I
and
could do that.
supplies?
As I said earlier, the overall goal is, if we could average 10 miles between towns, it means you have 10 miles to get to that next food option. There are some vendors that are on the route that, you'll see them on the side of the road. Mr. Pork Chop is one of them. So, he may not be in one of the towns. He'd be on the side of the road somewhere, so you can get access to a pork chop on the road. But we do work with the towns to help them with vendors. We're in towns of all sizes. So as you get into big communities, they have more restaurants and bars than the small community does. So we need to make sure that these towns are adequately stocked with vendors. The first couple towns out of the gate are usually looked at breakfast towns. So you'll see a lot of breakfast vendors during the first 20-ish miles. And then as you get closer to lunch, you're seeing more of the lunch vendors. And then, after the lunch, after you've had a big lunch, you kind of see more of the sweets and the ice cream. But there still are vendors there. We talk to every town, and, they lock in their vendors, and we kind of let them know based on how we feel. Do they have enough? Do they need more? But we do have traveling vendors that go across the state. You will see a lot of the same type of vending across the state. So if there's something that you specifically are interested in, I would try to find ways to bring it yourself. There are more vegetarian options as our world expands a little bit. You're seeing that out there, so that they are there. They're not as dominant as some of the other options, but you can find them. But just know that each town will be looked at as a fueling station. Water is probably the most important thing you can put in your body during the week. So each town will have, as you come into town, a water spot hookup. You can fill water bottles, and as you leave, there'll be a spot that you can fill water bottles up to. So always make sure before you leave your water bottles are full, because it could get hot really, really quick. But yes, do know that there will be vendors en route and in communities that can definitely get you refueled.
Awesome. Corey, as our campground all-knowing being, question for RVs. Are there places for dump stations and charging hookups? Electricity hookups.
So as far as electricity hookups, that's going to kind of depend on the towns themselves. As we get a little closer, we'll find out what those towns have available. Those, I will say, those probably will go pretty fast if there are places. So I wouldn't really count on that. People do use generators as an option. I will say, where you're parked, to be, conscious of your surroundings with generators. There are people that are sleeping in tents around you, and on ground level, generators can not be so friendly to all the people around you. So kind of be conscious of that as well. There will be all the towns will find designated parking spots for RVs. And all that information will come, when we get a little closer. I did see in that same question, it was talking about, I believe husband and daughter were riding and somebody was driving. As Matt said earlier, all the routes will come out on Ride with GPS for the bikes, but there will also be the vehicle support routes, which are a separate route to keep the vehicles off of, and obviously to not meet up with the bikes. So those will be ready to download, later on in the course too, which we strongly encourage everybody to do so they can follow those from point A to point B. Dump stations, again, almost every town will have a dump station or multiple dump stations available. Those will be on the town maps, and the town maps will come out a little closer to the ride. I work with the towns to set all those locations and get those all on the maps for you. So
I'd like to piggyback on that too. So we are seeing too, talking to state as we go across, less and less dump stations being available. So a lot of the teams are saying, hey, if you're riding with us in the RV, you do not use the indoor bathroom for anything. We stop and we go to the gas station because it does cause problems. Obviously, the towns early on are usually pretty good because there's not a whole lot of food being eaten yet, but towns midweek start to panic a little bit. So I would recommend if you're bringing an RV, make that off limits and stop at restaurants or gas stations to use the restrooms. Don't use the actual RV because like I said, we are seeing less and less in towns. And a lot of times too, it's hard to get to. If you are talking through RV drivers, I hear a lot of my wife's driving us and we're all riding our bikes and the wife grabs me and says, I'm absolutely terrified. What do I do? We have a meeting on day 0 where I talk to newbies and support drivers, and we talk through what this looks like. Once the route is finalized for bicycles, we look at the support route. We make sure that bikes and vehicles do not cross on that support route. Now, there are vehicles that do pop up on the actual bike route. They learned very quickly that they should not be there and they need to leave the route. But we do have a designated route that is for support vehicles only, and that's the road we want you to take. They're usually maybe a little bit more distance for the day, but they're also on bigger, busier roads so you can get in and get out. So I would say now if you're working on who your driver is, make sure they feel comfortable because, driving a big RV in a big open space by yourself is still intimidating. And then you add 10,000 of your closest friends around with bicycles and blind spots and it causes problems. So that's one of the biggest things that we see every year. But yeah, we will create those same routes. They'll all come out at the same time. So your support driver can download all those maps and get turn by turn, and your bicyclist can download all the bicycle routes and get turn by turn.
All right. 2 more questions. We're going to try to keep this to an hour. And then we will do a recap of our main questions and post the video recording of this meeting as well. So if it's something you want to go back to, you can go back to it or share it with your friends as well. All right, our next to last question, and this is a great one, I think. Speaking of CPAPs, do people camp with them? Is that possible? Or what would be the best way to manage something like necessary medical equipment?
Sure. So keep in mind, CPAPs carry weight. Our bags are 50 pounds. So if we're transporting your bags, that will play into what you're packing for the entire week. If you're staying in a RAGBRAI main campground, you're in a baseball field or a football field or behind a high school. So there isn't going to be a lot of access to power. So that's obviously one of the biggest things. If you're looking at that is a need for you, a charter is probably the way to go because they do accommodate some of those things. I've been to a campground and I saw the one spot where our team was set up, and I think it had 50 plugins trying to poach power to make this work. That's obviously a safety issue for us too, so we got to be careful that way. So the answer is it is tough depending on where you camp. We do have the ability with towns, because Iowa, like I said earlier, opens up their houses and their hearts to complete strangers. There will be available to have indoor possible accommodations in people's houses, and that's where you can use your CPAP machine to be plugged in. And that all comes out afterwards. That is one of the biggest lifts that communities deal with, is trying to find host homes for all of RAGBRAI that wants a host. So please give them time to prepare. Those people come in, last minute with their houses being opened up. So like I said, it is a major lift. It's a major stress point for some of these communities because they're trying to accommodate as many people as possible. But if you do have one of those things where it has to be plugged in, that'd probably be one of your best options.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Corey.
Piggyback just really quickly off of that. In the campgrounds, we see, multiple cords plugged into cords after cords after cords, people trying to charge their phones, charge their GPS, all that stuff. Try to do it as much as you can in the pass-through towns and things like that, whenever you can find readily available. I've seen, we're in some fields, like you said, we're in fields, we're in ball diamonds. There's moisture in the morning. Electronics and moisture sometimes aren't always the best. We've seen portable power packs start on fire in bags and things like that. So just, things to keep in mind when packing. So.
Awesome, or not awesome, depending on how you look at it. Good tips for future planning. All right. Our lightning round to wrap it up. Real quick, we'll go around and what is the one thing you didn't pack that you wish you did? So Matt or RAGBRAI?
For me, it's always sunscreen. I always forget sunscreen, and then midweek I can feel my nose burning. So make sure you have plenty of sunscreen is always my go-to now.
All right, Anne.
This is going to come as no shock to the team, but power cords. Make sure you have enough power cords for things and extra.
Erica.
I'd say Tylenol, any of those little individual packages that you know that, hey, after a day of riding, you'll want that stuff, or you need them. Any medicine like that, you can get them out of Casey's pretty easy, but you might not be able to find time to get to any of the bigger stores. So any of those necessities that you want to have on you, pack those.
Awesome. Corey.
Packing tip. Seems that we handle a lot of bags. I see a lot of stuff. The one thing that I loved when I saw, and I've done it for years myself, is gallon-sized Ziploc baggies to pack your stuff in and to put your stinky kit in at the end of the day and pack it away in your bag and never have to see it again until the end of the ride. And then you're in for a big surprise.
AP.
Those Ziploc bags are also really great for doing laundry. If you are someone who doesn't have enough kits to last a whole week, you bring along a little extra packet of detergent and you can wash them right there in the bag anywhere. The thing that I would pack, I'm going to say two because I want to cheat. I'm going to say a Sharpie because you never know what you're going to need to write on, especially like your license plate that we give you that says your name on it or things like that. And then the other one I would say is duct tape. That's the number one thing that people come up to me on the ride and ask if I have. And I usually do. So you're welcome to ask me if you forget that.
And I'll add another pro tip to that. You can wrap your duct tape around your Sharpie, and that way you're not hauling around a big old roll of duct tape. So there's your, yep. Mine is going to be bring more cash than you think you need. Most of the vendors are cash only. There are more credit card vendors, but it's a lot quicker to go with cash. And a lot of the local small vendors and bars and stuff like that are going to be greatly appreciative of cash. That way you're not dealing necessarily with having to find an ATM or find your bank or deal with fees and different things like that. So Hayden, I know it's like, what, 3 days in with us? Any takeaways or anything that you would think to bring on RAGBRAI?
I'm going to say plenty of snacks because I'm guessing then you burn a lot of energy on RAGBRAI throughout the week, and you need to make sure that you're fueling up, not just with the meals in between, but making sure you got snacks for if you get it 5 miles out and you need a little bit of a energy boost.
A good one. We're speaking the same language. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for our first virtual RAGBRAI Town Hall. We will be doing these once a month, so keep an eye out on our socials, on our website. We will get a recap blog up with answers to these questions and more of the questions that we weren't quite able to get to, and then be able to share that out with anybody who wasn't able to attend. And we hope that we see you all in Des Moines in 10 days for the route announcement. So thank you all. Thank you, team. Good night.